Okay, so this is just an example of how the Korg M3 can do a lot of the same things that a Kronos can do. Obviously it can't do everything a Kronos can do, but as musicians and even worship musicians, there's a lot of times when we get kind of taken away by what they call gear acquisition syndrome, and we always want to have the latest and the greatest. And I think that kind of is a drawback for a lot of people, because you don't really ever learn your instrument to the fullest that you can possibly learn it. Not that I have either, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of times we try to find the easy way to do things by spending more money on newer gear instead of really just keeping something long enough to really get a really good understanding of all the ins and outs and how it could work. And this workstation, along with a lot of other ones in the past from Korg, is a very complex and deep workstation. It can do things that are really impressive, and I mean I'm still blown away by it. I've only had it about a year, and I bought it because I got tired of doing computer stuff for worship. I had main stage, and I had a couple of different MIDI controllers and a lot of pedals and stuff, and I could get some amazing, beautiful sounds out of that. But several times on a Sunday morning, and even at other events, I've had the system lock up on me in the middle of a performance, and it got to the point where I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Even though it sounds amazing, I gotta have something that's rock solid and reliable, even if it doesn't quite live up to the same sound results as the software version can do. But anyway, I'm very pleased with the way the M3 sounds. It's got a great piano sound. It's got a lot of, Korg is known for their pads and strings and sounds like that, and so it doesn't disappoint in those areas, that's for sure. But what I've done here, there's a thing online I've saw, and actually that's kind of what made me buy the M3 when I bought it. Was I found this video of this guy, and he was using karma scenes to go between different groups of timbres within a combination, and or a combi, but to do that, basically, you probably can't see the screen, but in the karma settings, you've got different modules in karma, and each module can output to a different MIDI channel if you choose to use it that way. And that's how this trick basically works. Is so when I select module A, I'm outputting to MIDI channel 2. When I select module B, channel 3, C4, and G5, and then I go into my timbre parameters, and I pick what channel I want each instrument to be on. So on my setup, I've got on channel 2, which is module A, I've got my strings, my pads, sounds like that, and they're not necessarily in order, but like here I've got my main pad sound that I use. Here I've got some strings. Here I've got like a choir kind of pad for certain songs, and that's pretty much it. You don't want to go more than 3 or 4 instruments per group, because you'll start really cutting back your polyphony, which if you're playing big chords and you're kind of moving from one and sustaining and going to another, your polyphony count can really start to be an issue if you have more than about 2 or 3 voices on a given MIDI channel. That's what's so cool about this trick. I may have 16 different timbres loaded into this combi, but I'm only triggering 2 or 3 or however many I assign to that particular channel. When I'm on module A, I'm only triggering the ones that are on channel 2, so in this case it's only 1, 2, 3 timbres. And when I go to module 2 or scene 2, which selects module B, that's only on channel 3. I've only got 1 sound on channel 3, it's just my piano. But I can combine modules, so if I want to have piano and you can see this on your karma selection here. So in module 1, on scene 1, I've got module A selected. Scene 2, I've got module A and module B selected, which is my pads and my piano. Scene 3, I've got my pads and whatever's on MIDI channel 4, which is my D3 organ, and some other stuff like that. But just to show you what it sounds like and how, you might, watching a performance happen like this, you would almost think that I've got smooth sound transitions on this keyboard, which it doesn't have, but in effect it acts that way, which is really helpful. So without further ado, this is basically, I'm going to start on a pad, I'm going to add some piano, maybe go to a little B3, whatever, and then I've even got an ARP on one of these channels, which is kind of cool. We use for one particular song at our church, and it sounds like this. turned on too. So I actually have to mute that channel because if I don't, when I'm not using it, if I don't, it ARPs on all 4 groups, which I don't want. So anyway, just an example. Let's get a little more volume here. And what's neat about the M3 too, I love the ribbon controller, I love the switches, all this stuff is on the Kronos. So this is the only other board that has all the same controllers, I think, well, it doesn't have all the ones on the Kronos, but it's got a lot of them. And I've got this ribbon controller set for my cutoff frequency for my pad, and the attack and decay is so slow, I can just pick a point. The center is pretty much where it is now by default, but then if I pick like halfway up the range, it'll fade into that, so it's not a quick deal. So if I'm playing a chord and I want to transition like into the 4 chord, or for example, which in this case is a C, I can just, and then back down to the middle. Again, I've got more than just a pad on this particular scene. I can fade in strings. Wire. To where it normally lives, and then we'll go to scene 2. So I'm still sustaining. See, I'm changing scenes. I'm picking different timbres, but I'm still sustaining the pad, which is on scene 1. It doesn't go away, and because it's also on scene 2, when I start to play, now I've added the piano. If I go to here, a piano is still ringing out, as you can tell. It doesn't go away when I go to the next scene, but now, I'm sorry, I don't have my, let's try that again. And I've got my sliders attached too, so that's my B3 when I go to that scene. Pad is still underneath that, as you can hear. And then so this song that I've got these 4 pads set up to the chords for that one song that I use that other synth on. But just to show you, I can fade in this on any channel really. Go back to 1, which is only pad. And it keeps these controller settings when you go from scene to scene too, which is amazing. I mean, it's so helpful. And then so the other one is it's in A, I believe, but so I'll bring it in. I'm not trying to say that I've arrived or anything. Believe me, I'm not saying that. But it's a neat idea, and it's just a concept that a lot of musicians, especially today, don't really think about. You know, yeah, I'd like to get the new Kronos. I mean, honestly, having set list mode like Kronos has, and being able to add combis and patches and all that stuff to a set list and just call them up, you know, whenever I need them, and smoothly transition between them and all that kind of stuff. It sounds amazing, but it's really expensive, and I'm not a musician primarily, so I can't really justify spending, you know, $2,000 even for a used Kronos, let alone a new one. But the point is, you don't necessarily have to have the latest and greatest to be able to do some of the things that the latest and greatest can do. You just have to learn the board that you have. And so I would challenge musicians, I would challenge worship musicians, keyboardists especially, but even guitarists, whatever. Like, before you decide to go spend, you know, all this money on the new, you know, keyboard, you know, the latest one that came out that can do all this new stuff, make sure that you've really gotten the most out of the keyboard that you have, because you might be surprised what it can actually do if you start digging in. So anyway, that's all. I just wanted to share that. God bless.